Welcome to my closet. Welcome. I am starting a new series, I would like to say, on this channel, as a sort of diary where, and it's nothing that hasn't been done before. I will just be talking about my favorites from the last month and doing some reflections on the month. January has been a month. It's been a month, you know, but we're gonna make it through. We will power through. We are strong. We are stronger together. I can't do this for another 4 years, dog. I can't. Let's just get into it. I want to talk about my favorite albums first, okay? The month of January 2025. Guess how old Pure Heroin by Lorde is? Guess how old Pure Heroin by Lorde is? This album is about to turn 12 years old and I'm still bumping it. I'm still bumping it. She did her little thing with it. She was only like 17 or something when she wrote this album. It is one of the best albums of all time, and maybe because I'm already getting hyped for summer because it is too cold out here for me. All right, this album I think transcends every season. Like, it is good for every season. My favorite songs on this album: Tennis Court, perfect, beautiful, no notes. 400 Lux, perfect, beautiful, no notes. Royals, a classic. It has like 1 billion streams on YouTube Music, which is what I use, so everybody else seems to agree with me. Ribs, beautiful, classic. Nostalgia, I listen to Ribs and I think of my sisters, like literally we're laughing until our ribs get tough. Like, that is what's happening every time we're together, okay? Buzz Cut Season, classic, love it. Let's all get buzz cuts this season. Team, love it. Another good one. And A World Alone. Another album that I think is perfect for summertime, but I have been bumping this winter, maybe because for Christmas I got the physical copy of Lana Del Rey, Born to Die, okay? And when we start to talk about the movies a little bit, this album, I did not even realize, is so closely connected to Blue Velvet. Like, she even has a cover of Blue Velvet on the like extended version of this album. Guys, this is another album that came out when I was in middle school, bro, and I'm still bumping it at my big age of 25. This album is a classic. It is so good. Oh my god. 10 out of 10. No notes. Born to Die. Yes. Off to the Races. Kanye said he plays that song all the time. Blue jeans, white shirt, yup. Video games, we've all been there. Diet Mountain Dew. National Anthem used to be our national anthem for realsies. Dark Paradise, banger. Radio. I don't know where to begin, guys. Carmen is probably my least favorite song on this album. It's so good though. $1 Million Man. Yep. Summertime Sadness, a classic, another classic, and then This Is What Makes Us Girls, another classic, a classic. You guys see what I'm getting here? Like, maybe the reason I'm coming to realize I'm listening to like these albums that I was bumping back in like middle school and high school is because for me, like winter time, like when it's cold outside, like I really start to dig into the trenches and like just go back into like the nostalgia era, you know, like lots of memories of childhood popping up around winter time. And so it's just nice to have some companions along the way and like being able to reflect on moments in my life when I first like started to appreciate this music. So I'm glad I have a copy of this. My sister Sarah gave it to me for Christmas, shout out. And just some like single songs. In Dreams by Roy Orbison, but specifically from Blue Velvet because that scene is amazing. We'll talk more about Blue Velvet in a second. It Ain't Me, Babe by Joan Baez. I need to watch the Timothée Chalamet Bob Dylan biopic, Complete Unknown, I think it's called. And then speaking of Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone, like Yes, Next, we're getting to my favorite thing, movies. I made it a New Year's resolution as I'm digging deeper into media and stuff. I'm reading a lot of I'm aiming to read a lot of classic books as well, because they're classics for a reason. Like the same way that this is a classic and like everybody and their mom needs to listen to this album, you know, books like Anna Karenina, you know, I gotta get into that, see why everybody loves it. War and Peace, that kind of thing. I made that a goal with movies as well. I have a Letterboxd here on the screen. I basically am trying to watch 100 movies, getting into some classics, some newer stuff. So these are the movies that I rated 5 stars in the month of January, okay? Like these are all movies, one of them is a repeat. Can't wait to talk about that. The rest, I watched for the first time. First, 12 Angry Men from 1957. We're going back in time, okay? Directed by Sidney Lumet. It has Henry Fonda in it, and this movie, I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. Like honestly, I hope they never remake this movie, because the fact that the same sort of sentiments have carried on into present times is so crazy to me, but also not surprising. Like America was built on racism. I watched the movie Juror Number 2 as well, and I saw a lot of like similarities like they pulled from 12 Angry Men into that movie. That movie was dog water, but this movie, 12 Angry Men, really good. Really, really good. I loved it. It kept you on your toes, even though they're like in the same setting. It's the same 12 characters the entire time. It was great. And of course, my man Henry Fonda was playing the architect that's like the main descender. Like, we always got to think for ourselves, so I love that too. Went to a lecture forever ago where that was the whole lecture, was talking about why it was important that his character was the architect. So yeah, I'm glad I finally got to watch that movie. Okay, next, a movie from 2001. I will warn you, if you watch this movie, be prepared for some weird shit, okay? It's called The Piano Teacher. It's crazy. It's like, that's an understatement. I was not expecting the movie to be like how it was, like to be this, like I was getting grossed out by some of the contents, and I've seen some stuff on the internet, and like I know people are into some weird kinks and stuff, but she was like on another level. And I remember I watched The Piano Teacher, and then I watched Baby Girl in theaters like right after I did like a double feature. This movie just did such a better job of showing like the female desire and like what consent means, and like pushing those questions. Like it's very obvious that Baby Girl took some of those same themes, and like they tried to do it, but it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. I love fucked up main female characters. Like yes, like be weird, be crazy. Like I need that. The movie was just fantastic. The movie was just fantastic, guys. So watch it if you want some fucked up shit. Okay, next. Speaking of fucked up shit, The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers is one of my favorite directors because he puts so much thought into the detail of his movies and like research into it. Like it really did feel like we were 19th century lighthouse keepers with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, all right? This movie came out in 2019. I had always wanted to watch it, but I just like never did. He wrote the screenplay with his brother too, which I thought was interesting. And it's like loosely based off a real story, but watch it if you want to see Robert Pattinson having sex with a mermaid. So I'm looking forward to the werewolf movie he's directing next, because that's gonna be some freaky stuff, dude. Also like weird coworker situations, dude. It's just like that sometimes. The fact that is a story that has transcended time, like we're getting put back into the 19th century and that is still happening. I'm like, we really are just all humans at the end of the day. Like okay, my next 5-star movie this month was Blue Velvet by David Lynch. I am ashamed that it took me this long to watch this movie because it has been on my watch list forever. Dude, this movie was amazing. I loved it so much. Frank Booth is one of the most terrifying like on-screen villains ever. I was so scared every time he came up on the screen. It was like the unpredictability of his character and the fact that like him as a person could actually just exist in real life, and like we'd be like, yeah, like that's Frank Booth, dude, that's him. Like I said on on Born to Die by Lana Del Rey, she has a cover of Blue Velvet that she did for like an H&M commercial or something. This phenomenon keeps happening with me with Lana Del Rey, where like I'll be listening to one of her songs and I'll love it so much, and then I'll discover later on that it was just a cover of like another song. And that same thing happened to me with Blue Velvet. And then also I was playing Sims 4 the other day, and like one of the nightclubs and like in the base game is called the Blue Velvet, and I was like, how long has this just been like hiding under me? And I'm just now deciding to sit down and watch it. 80s Kyle MacLachlan. Oh, he had this little like silver hoop in his ear. Let me just thirst over him for a second. Like he was such a cutie pie. No, and like he still is, but now he's like cute in the way that like Hugh Grant is cute, but like he was like fun back in like the 80s or 90s. Like that's the same thing about Kyle MacLachlan, you know? And so I love this movie, and like Laura Dern too was so good in it. Just the whole movie was just fantastic. Like it felt like David Lynch had written and directed this movie just for me. It had like everything that I loved in it. I love it when movies are just like a moment in time. Like it's not something that takes place over like a couple years or something. It's just like this one moment. And so for like Kyle MacLachlan's character, this was just like a fucked up summer for him. Like this was just like a summer moment for him. And like I like to think that his character like a year from then is like reminiscing on that time, like, oh my god, I can't believe I made it out alive. But I love that it like looked at the underbelly of American suburbia. I think like it literally takes place in a town called Lumberton, North Carolina. It wasn't like taking place in Chicago or something. It was like literally a small town, and it was like still crazy and wild. And it's like, yeah, like there are crazy people everywhere. You just hopefully don't run into them. So like it just dealt with all the subject matter really, really well, and I loved it. And I can clearly see now how Lana Del Rey was inspired by that movie, because even like the album cover and the insert, and even like the CD opening shot, it's literally just like a white picket fence with like red roses in the front to literally like just solidify the fact that you are in small town America. It was so beautiful, and I want to be there, even though it's crazy. It was like I just want to be there. Okay, next, bro. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my absolute favorite. This movie came out, dude, in 2014. That like it's about to be 11 years old. Oh, sit with that for a moment. The Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson is my all-time favorite movie of all time. Okay, let me just keep hammering that in. This is the best movie of all time, okay? It's beautiful. The soundtrack freaking bangs, dude. That's another thing. Like, I was just listening to that soundtrack too, like on my walks and stuff. The soundtrack for that movie is so good. And it is just like, it is an incredibly sad story, and I'm literally gonna cry thinking about it now. But it's told from the lens, and it starts with this very early on in the movie, where it's like it's a story within a story within a story. So obviously like the severity of some of the events that were happening to these characters have been like watered down, but also like he's looking like Zero is looking at his life through a positive lens, because he's been removed from it for a couple of years. So it just reminds me of, like, for example, reminds me a lot of the road trips I used to take with my family, okay? And in the moment, those road trips were horrible. Like, imagine getting on a bus in the middle of summer, okay, and not going up north. No, not a bus, sorry. We were in RV. And we're not going up north to escape the heat. No, 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 no. Let's go to New Mexico and Arizona and California. Oh my God, dude, it was horrible. Like RVs, this was like a cheap, really shitty RV too. There was no air conditioning, dog. We're literally in the middle of Arizona and it's like 108 degrees outside and we're in this hot ass RV and you can't just like open a window, dude. You can't. But looking back out at it now, those were like the best times of my life because of the moments I got to spend with my family. And so for me, like the Grand Budapest Hotel is showing that same, it's that same kind of moment where he's reminiscing about one of the hardest times of his life ever. I'm literally crying, I'm thinking about it. He's like thinking back to those times in his life and he's telling this story to someone who then goes on to write a book about it. It's the story of when the Grand Budapest Hotel was at its peak. It's at its peak, and then it just gets thrown into turmoil. It gets turned into a military base, you know, as the country gets thrown into the midst of war. And you still see like this bright pink exterior, and like as the movie goes on to, like the color grading I've noticed like gets darker and darker. Like it's no longer this bright pink building, it just turns gray and dark. And then finally, I won't spoil it. Actually, I won't spoil it because I want everybody to go watch this movie and like really listen to the words, because I've coined this term with Wes Anderson, just Wes Anderson fatigue, because sometimes you'll be listening or watching the movie, and I felt this with The French Dispatch by him, which I also watched this month. You get exhausted, and like if you tune out for even like 1 second, you've missed like the whole storyline. It's a beautiful story about nostalgia and storytelling and found family, and it's wholesome and beautiful, and I love it. It's so funny too. Like it's so funny. It will make you laugh out loud. It's so good.
She's been murdered, and you think I did it. Hey! Stop!
Last movie I gave 5 stars to this month that I watched, Little Miss Sunshine by Valerie Faris and Jonathan Dayton, who I have learned are husband and wife duo. Love that for them. I love when couples get together to make something creative. This movie was absolutely so fantastic. Remember how I was saying before, I love when movies just like showcase a moment? Little Miss Sunshine literally takes over the course of like 2 days. The family dynamics were so beautiful, and I found that they mirrored a lot of the dynamics that I have within my own family. It's another one of those movies where it's so horrible in the moment that while you're watching it, but you just know that like later on down the line, the characters are gonna think about it and laugh, you know? This movie was just so beautiful. Steve Carell did amazing. Toni Collette, I had no idea she's from Australia. I love her so much. She's one of my favorite actresses. Paul Dano as well. He was pretty young when he was in this movie. Paul Dano is another one of my favorite actors. Like literally, like all the acting performances in this movie were fantastic. Like even the child actress, like child actors are pretty cringy in my opinion, because like you can tell that they're acting, but she was just so natural in it. And it was just a really beautiful movie about families, and I love fucked up family dynamics. What can I say? It was wholesome, another wholesome movie. Like that's the theme, I think, is I just love fucked up situations with a hint of wholesomeness. So if anyone has any recommendations, let me know for that. All right, everybody. That was my January favorites. If you enjoyed, let me know. Don't tell me if you didn't enjoy it, because I don't give a gaff. Okay. I need to listen to more albums and stop just like repeating things, but also I literally only just listened to Lorde and Lana Del Rey this month. Like, oh, Lady Gaga, her new album should be coming out soon. I'm excited for that. Lana Del Rey is also coming out with a new album soon, a country album, which is going to be hype. I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope to keep making these videos. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment and let me know what your favorite things were this month. I'm excited for February. My favorite holiday, Valentine's Day, is coming up. And I just love pink and hearts and everything cute, so that will be fun. I'll see you all later. Check out the streams. I have been enjoying the streams lately, playing karaoke with you guys, playing fish. Remember to check out the Twitch link in the description if you are watching me for the very first time, which hello, my name is Jimana. You pronounce it like banana. Thanks.